Well, hi there, it's that Midwestern mom. Also, that Midwestern opera singer, and I guess a lot of you didn't remember that. It's always so funny when I post an opera video, if it's been a while. A lot of people are just like, holy moly, where have you been hiding this? Well, I haven't really been hiding it. Honestly, the algorithm kind of hides it. And I don't post a lot because the problem with posting music is you always have to worry about copyrights, even if it's over 100 years old and it's opera. If anybody's playing piano, somebody somewhere is going to say, this is my recording, and you don't have the rights to post it. It's so frustrating. Musicians who post regularly on social media are my heroes. So let me give you a recap as to why I don't post a lot on social media. Because one, singing is your heart and soul. It is your very being. If you think about it, if you're playing the French horn, that French horn is between you and the audience. When I sing to the audience, all you get is me, Amber Estenson, and that's kind of, quite frankly, a little scary. You open yourself up to a lot of criticism when you post yourself on the internet, especially when you're a trained opera singer who could have gone professional, but you are no longer professional and you don't practice as a professional would. So even though you don't hear it because you're not a trained opera singer, I have a lot of quirks that I need to get over. I have a lot of vowel issues. I have a lot of tongue tension and jaw issues. And I know it sounds weird, but like if I were to go audition for an opera tomorrow, I would not make the cut. I was told from a very young age that I could sing, and I was always expected to go to college for singing. And so I did, but then I didn't realize how incredibly difficult it is to be an opera singer in the United States of America. I didn't go to college until after I had my first child. I was 26. I had already started late. I didn't have the type of training that everybody else did. I can hardly play piano. I hardly have any ability to read music. I had learned everything by ear up until that point, and I managed to get through a degree. Yes, I did. However, there's this thing in the United States called Young Artist Program, and any professional opera singer has done several Young Artist Programs before they even get to the professional world. However, I was 30 by the time I graduated with my undergrad, and the age cutoff for almost all Young Artist Programs in the United States and many of them abroad is what? Age 30 for women and 35 for men, because everything is sexist, don't you know? The only thing I had going for me was the fact that I made it into the University of Maryland's opera studio, which is kind of in of itself a young artist program. So I felt like I totally had the training to be an opera singer when I left grad school. However, I had kids by this point. I had a husband at the time, and traveling the world to be an opera singer is so difficult. I've always said that if I were independently wealthy, I could have been a famous opera singer, but I was not. Quite the opposite. And so it takes a lot of money to fly across the country and to do auditions. It takes a lot of money to get headshots, and you constantly have to be in coachings. You constantly have to be in voice lessons. Opera singers are constantly learning, constantly improving, as we all should be with our respective careers, right? How are you expected to do that and be a parent at the same time? That's really hard, especially when you're trying to support your then husband through their career. And I lived far away from family. Could I do it now that I have the support of family and friends and my entire community that I have moved home? Possibly. Do I want to? I don't know. I have not been able to answer that question yet. If the correct opportunity arose, and let's say the Fargo Moorhead Opera, wink, wink, or Minnesota Opera was like, we have a specific production that we decided to put on because that Midwestern mom happens to sing opera, but you're going to have to go through coachings for 6 months to get yourself back up into shape in order to sing an entire opera. But we know that you can sell tickets in order to put butts in seats. Yes, we want you to sing this specific role that we thought of for you, a lot like the University of Maryland's Opera Studio program did during my master's degree. That is the only situation in which I think I would want to do a specific full opera. Do I want to perform again in some capacity as a singer? Yes. And I do think that those doors could open up to me as an influencer. Also, yes. I feel like I'm on that path eventually. And that doesn't bother me. Like, your dreams can still be your dreams, but your dreams can change as you get older. My thing when I went to opera school was I want to be a performer. I chose the medium of opera because I happen to be really good at it. But the thing is, my little marshmallows, I always wanted to be a performer, and I think I'm doing that. Video that I just posted the other day and the one that I posted from Arches National Park have over 1 million views. On what planet can an opera singer get over 1 million people in their audience? Granted, it's only for a 2-minute aria, but on what planet can I fill an opera hall and get 2 million people to listen to a piece of opera in a foreign language, not understanding what they're listening to, and then say things like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I liked opera, but now I do like opera. I like you singing opera. And then maybe that might prompt them to go look into seeing an opera in their town. That might prompt them to look at YouTube and to find other opera singers that they might like. It just might keep the art form alive, because I am reaching larger audiences than just a standard opera company can. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is the right way. I'm not saying what other people are doing is the wrong way. It's another way to keep this art form alive. You, my little marshmallows, who have heard me sing opera in the weirdest places, that I ever thought I would be singing, are keeping this art form alive. So you're doing your part. We are doing what I always dreamed of doing: singing, bringing joy, performing, and making it a career. Does my career center around being at the opera studio or auditioning for operas? No, it doesn't anymore. However, it does center around performing, because I perform for you every time I turn on this camera, right? So in short, are you going to see that Midwestern mom starring in an opera anytime soon? Probably not, unless Fargo Moorhead Opera wants to call me. Is that a hint? I don't know. Maybe. Or Minnesota Opera. You did follow me on Instagram the other day, so wink, wink, we should collaborate. COVID almost decimated so many small opera companies, and did, quite honestly. COVID almost decimated all small symphony. The way that you can preserve those art forms is just finding a local symphony, finding a local opera, and getting tickets. Very frequently, there are something called rush tickets, where you can get them for like $25 a pop if you buy them within 12 hours of the next performance. And a lot of the times, I think Minnesota Opera does cheap tickets for people under the age of 45, because we're trying to change the demographic of people that show up at operas. I mean, no offense, but the typical demographic of people who show up at operas are older than I am. So, it just is what it is. And people always say, oh, I don't understand anything that's going on in opera. You can research the plot before you go to it, number one. And number two, every opera company is going to have supertitles or subtitles for their operas. It's either going to be projected above the stage on screens next to the stage, or in really fancy opera houses like at the Met, there's like a little screen in front of you on the backside of your seat that will be transmitting the translations all the time. Even if the opera's in English, a lot of the times they will have subtitles and supertitles, because it is difficult. It's difficult to understand your own language. Most people who speak Italian will almost always have supertitles or subtitles going when they're listening to an Italian opera, because number one, it's old Italian. And number two, when you're singing up in the stratosphere, you can't understand what I'm saying even in English. So in short, my little marshmallows, if you go back to my page and look, I posted another singing video. One of them's in the hundreds of thousands of views, and this one's in the single thousands of views. And so the algorithm doesn't like it when I sing. Views don't matter to me, but when you put that much energy and effort into editing a video and it completely flops, it's kind of a little bit of a kick to your self-esteem. I'm trying to do it for the pure joy of it, and trust me, it does give me so much joy to sing for you, especially when you didn't know I could do that. I am not, however, a professional opera singer anymore. Could I have been? Yes, but I am not anymore. Most of the time when I'm posting those singing videos, I haven't even warmed up. I'm just pulling it out of my back pocket. But it gives me utmost joy to talk about opera and to put you in the right direction if you're interested. I always recommend seeing Mozart's Magic Flute first. It's really appropriate for children even, and a lot of opera shows will do children's versions or children's productions of the Magic Flute, because it's called a Singspiel, which means they talk the dialogue in English or German. It was specifically written in German, but they'll talk it in English. And then the music will be sung in German, but with English subtitles. Very cute plot. It's magical. It's fun. It's a comedy. If you like something more serious, Tosca, I think, is a really great opera. La Boheme is kind of loosely the plot basis of the musical Rent. So Puccini's La Boheme is a really great one to start. And Mozart's Marriage of Figaro and Rossini's Barber of Seville is a lot of the music that Bugs Bunny sang. So like Figaro, 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 Figaro. That one is from Barber of Seville. Hopefully I gave you enough to go off of now. I know this is a big rambly message, but I just want to say that I really appreciate all of the support that you've given me. You've kind of reignited my love of singing and reignited my love of performing for all of you. And I'm going to try really hard to do a Christmas Carol a day for you. So here we go. Moving forward, that Midwestern mom, that Midwestern opera singer, don't you know?